All right, let's turn our attention to Julia LaRoche. She is watching the news of Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway buying into gold. And how would you describe this best, Julia? Because he and Charlie Munger used to trash gold.
Okay, Adam, Warren Buffett reported his second quarter stock moves on Friday afternoon, and there was only one new single purchase of a public equity, and that was of the gold mining stock Barrick Gold, snapping up 20.9 million shares. And of course, Barrick Gold is moving on this news. I'm checking the stock right now. It's up about 11.93%. So he's probably made about, just on paper gains since Friday, 70 million on that position. Just to give you a little bit of context, Barrick Gold, of course, the new position for him, it ranks about number 22 in Warren Buffett's famous stock portfolio. It's a pretty minuscule position when you look at it broadly, because if you look at the names up there, I'm talking about Apple, massive position for him, Bank of America, another one, Coca-Cola being another. So it's a very small percentage of the portfolio, but still a big move for someone who in the past, historically, along with his right-hand man, Charlie Munger, have dissed gold in some of his annual meetings in the past. They basically said that, look, gold is not a productive asset. They've called it an unproductive asset. Once Warren Buffett in 2000 said, I would rather trust in the intrinsic value of a bunch of really fine businesses run by good managers selling products that people like to buy and have liked to buy for a long time. He referenced in that See's Candy and Coca-Cola, for example, versus, taking a piece of metal that people dig out of the ground in South Africa and then put it back in the ground at Fort Knox. Of course, he's also said that it's not a very good store of value. He said that I would say that gold would be way down on the list as a store of value. That's something he said at the 2005 annual meeting. Buffett, whose dad, by the way, was a gold enthusiast and someone who liked the gold standard, said that he would even bet his life that Berkshire Hathaway shares over a 50-year period would outperform gold. And he's like, look, you buy an ounce of gold, 100 years later, you still own an ounce of gold. And Munger even took a swipe once. He said, I can't imagine a worse crowd to deal with than a bunch of gold bugs. So my big inference here, Adam, is that Buffett and Munger, they could have certainly changed their minds here on gold. They've done that in the past, whether it's airline stocks or even getting into tech stocks like Apple, which is now their largest position. Or it could be they have a bit more autonomy for those young investment deputies. Todd Combs and Ted Weschler, perhaps they were the ones that made that. Buffett did reference in the past, or at least hint in the past, that it was one of the young deputies that made the initial Apple investment. I'll also note that, of course, back at the annual meeting this year, he did confirm that they exited the airline stocks. They had once said they would never buy an airline stock again. They made pretty big investments back in 2016, of course, dumping those. I had an interesting phone call, Adam, with a macro strategist about this, that this could just be, an expression for Buffett or Berkshire on more of a macro trend here, not because they think that the dollar is going to get debased by any means. And if you're going to play a macro trend as gold, in other words, if you don't want to own treasuries because they're unattractive because of the duration risk, as we talked to Peter Borsch about earlier, you might play it in a publicly traded, pretty liquid company like a big mining company like Barrick Gold. And of course, it's certainly not cheap. It was trading earlier at 28 times. So not really a value play, but still very interesting move.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.